Hi, I'm Faster EFT Practitioner Kim Brown. Glad you could join me today. And with us also today is Faster EFT Practitioner Nellie Mezir, also a certified life coach with a degree in psychology. Welcome, Nellie.
Hi, Kim. How are you today?
I'm good. Nellie, in your practice, you've dealt extensively with relationship issues. So our first relationship is with our parents. Can you talk about the dynamics with that relationship?
Absolutely, I would love to. And this is very interesting dynamic, especially in our day and time, because it's so different compared to dynamic that you and I had with our parents. When you and I grow up, we actually were given the directions that we obeyed and we followed. And therefore, respect was embedded in this type of relationship. So our parents told us what to do, we obeyed it, and therefore we've been considered respect our parents.
Mm.
Now our days with what they name millennials, it's very different dynamic between parents. It's actually our generation who became parents, or sometimes grandparents, also our generation, compared to the people in their 20s right now or late teens. And because of the media influence and because the information that they have, their interests, the dynamic or the word that we name respect, as we considered respect, was drastically changed. What's going on? It's huge misunderstanding between the parents and children. So it creates a lot of frustration in this misunderstanding, in this point of views, in those beliefs between parents and kids that are not so kids anymore, they're young adults. Normally, they already graduated the school, they went to college, they work or they don't work. And nevertheless, whatever situation is, creates a lot of challenging in relationship between older generation and younger one. And this is where Faster EFT comes really to help. Coaching comes to help because it helps both to understand what actually is going on. So it's not love-hate relationship. It's actually they simply cannot find the common language of conversation where both parties would understand each other.
So it sounds like it's not like, okay, I'm being wrong and you're being wrong, but there's actually a misunderstanding.
It is absolutely correct because it's none of them are wrong. It's just absolutely different perception on life. And therefore, I have my view and you have yours. So for us to communicate, we have to find a common point. But if I'm going to insist that my point is right and yours is wrong, it never would go anywhere. And it's basically exactly what's going on between parent and child. And many times, oftentimes, not only between parent and child, but also in relationship between husband-wife too. In any kind of relationship, friends, doesn't matter. It's based for any kind of relationship.
So if I was to say, I don't do relationships well, or I always attract fill in the blank, what advice would you give me? What would you ask me to consider?
I would ask you to consider, first of all, what beliefs you're coming with, what you're thinking about your relationship start with. What do you know about you and your relationships? What statements you're saying to yourself before you got into any relationships at all? So that would be my advice. We're going to start with you. We're going to start with the person of complaint and actually go deeper to figure out what exactly behind it, what kind of beliefs people are pursuing in order to get in this or this situation.
So it's something I'm believing about me, or I'm believing about whoever I would get into a relationship with?
Absolutely. And normally it came from your own experiences and your own experiences with your relationships, with your parents, with your children, with your grandkids, your friends, peers. So this is what you brought with you. and that's what's going on. And then when we're going to go after your relationships and figure out what you believe about them, what is actually driving your own buzz, it's much easier to find the ground to communicate with person of interest.
So how would a person go about, what would you do to assist a person to come to this place?
This would be, I would start with a number of questions. This is how it usually starts, where it's very polite questions, but also very deep questions. So we're going to start with a number of questions. First is going to be, how do you believe that you have it? And then the second, after you will recognize what exactly is going on, it's going to be a couple more questions. And then we're going to start, and we're going to find a common ground for communication with the person of interest. Normally, I also would suggest the conversational language as well, because many of us are missing on the wordings. And I have a big passion towards to the language itself, because I mastered linguistic programming as well. And I know how much wordings, how we say it, means to everyone, starting with us. And the reason is why, because I'm the first one who's pronouncing and hearing the word. The other person can deny it, can reject it or accept it. Me, on the other hand, I always hear what I say. So I'm starting with my own conversation, what I'm saying, and then what I want to deliver, what I want other person to hear, what I'm really saying to the other person, and what response I'm expecting.
I know when I got married, my husband would say, when we finished a meal, he would say, "I'm full." Now, in his mind, he was saying, "I'm ready for dessert." But in my mind, it was, okay, put everything away, wash the dishes. And he wanted to know where dessert was.
Exactly.
You just said you were full. But where he came from, that meant it's time for dessert.
Absolutely. And if you're going to go to Italian table, for example, they would say, "I had enough." So every culture has different, I would say, color on the language. And what color is yours or mine is different, but it doesn't matter. We can mix it and we can create something very beautiful in it. We have the ability to create something beautiful and something new. Every single person has this ability. And therefore, when we really clear up the issue, this is exactly what we open door for, to create something new, something beautiful, better relationship. And in my practice, I saw many times where all of a sudden, for the first time, child and mother could say each other, "I love you."
Mm.
And what more beautiful you can expect?
Yeah,
I think it's the most beautiful thing.
absolutely.
When after 20 years, all of a sudden, they hug each other and say, "I love you." So I think it's very rewarding.
So how does Faster EFT help a person nurture a relationship?
We're going to go back to origins, about our beliefs, what we do believe, like we started our conversation with. And one by one, we actually clear what we believe about it. And by clearing it I use a lot of Faster EFT in my practice, because I think this is the most advanced technique that exists right now in the market. And I know many techniques.
Mm-hmm.
I found Faster EFT would be the fastest one, and also probably the deepest one. It goes to the root cause right away. It goes like deep to the root, and this is where we can clear stuff up. And with clearing, it comes a lot of clarity. This is how it goes. So when all of a sudden the fog is gone and everything becomes clear, this is where we can create. this when we create what we want. And normally when I see the client, I ask, okay, you have this and this right now, but what do you want instead? So what do you want? You have this one, but what do you want instead? Before we even start to work, what do you want instead? How would you see your life when you are going to have your relationships improved? When your child would come to you and say, I love you, or your mother would come to you and say, I love you. How it's going to be for you? It's always important to understand the ending of the process, where we're going. And then we start, and then we clear what is in the way. And like I said, I use a lot of faster EFT to do that.
So what would you ask someone to consider who's having some struggles with relationships?
It is absolutely 100% possible to improve the relationship that you are in if you're struggling in the relationships. It's always the way to improvement. It's always the door there. It's always you can open the door and you can improve the relationship.
And I improved the relationship by me coming to you rather than saying, okay, I'm going to get my husband to come to you because he's driving me crazy.
It's absolutely true, because Kim, the last thing that you want to do in your life, it's all of a sudden become the victim of relationships. This is the last thing that you can do for yourself. And the reason is why, because instead of empowering you, it's actually making the person very weak. And I think none of us want to feel weak or be weak in this life. And very meaning of debates in a household, I think where the people are fighting, it's exactly to prove to each other who is stronger and who is more powerful. And this is the main issue that actually the root of the issue in a household. The thing is, so both of the people, sometimes three of the people, sometimes four, depending on the size of the family, they cannot understand that by fighting each other, they don't hear each other. And none of them proving to each other nothing besides fighting. And I guess all of us by now know it's no winners in a war. It's never where, because it's always casualties in any kind of war. So it's no different that we're talking about the war outside of the country, inside of the country, and in a way, our family is our own country. So it's no winners there. So it's much better to create, and this was a saying, that it's better bad peace than a good war. So I truly believe in it. And only in a peace you can find and respect and love.
Good point. Well, thank you, Nellie. Is there anything else you would like to share with our viewers before we close today?
No, thank you so much for having me, and good luck to all of you in your relationships.
Thank you for being with us, Nellie.
Thank you.
And Nellie and I thank all of you for watching today. If you're interested in asking Nellie a question, or if you would like to have a session with her, I will have her information at the end of this video. She does in-person sessions in Michigan, where she lives, and she also does sessions with clients from all over the world over Skype. She also does sessions in English and in Russian, so be sure to contact Nellie. And remember, no matter what you've experienced in the past, today is a new day. See you next time.